Hey, this is Mr. Janes. In this video, we'll be talking about measures of center, things like mean, median, and mode. Before we begin, I just want to remind you to put away all distractions, rewind if you need to, if you miss anything, pause occasionally to predict what's happening next, and of course, make sure you're taking notes. So before we get into mean, median, and mode, let's talk about first, what does it mean to be a measure of center? So a measure of center is the most typical, common, or normal value in a data set, often thought of as the center of a distribution, and sometimes it's called the average. So if I asked you questions like, what do you normally get on a test in math class? Or how many points do you normally score per game in basketball? Or what time does your bus usually come pick you up in the morning? All of those are talking about measures of center. Now there are three kinds we're going to talk about here, called mean, median, and mode. Now, your mean, or your arithmetic mean, as it's called, is found by summing or adding all of the values and dividing by the number of values you have. The mean is also sometimes called the average. Remember, you're adding everything up and dividing by the number that you have. So if that's a mean, what's a median? The median is the middle value in an ordered list of values. Now that order is important. When you're finding the mean or the average up here, it doesn't matter what order the numbers are in. When you add them all together, you're going to get the same answer whether they're in order or not. When you're finding the median, those numbers have to be in order from least to greatest. And then to find the median, you're finding that middle number, kind of counting from both sides into the middle. If there happen to be two middle values, the median is the average of those two values. You'd add those two middle numbers together and divide by 2, or just find halfway in between them. So what about the mode? Well, the mode is the most frequent or most common value in a data set. Now, if there's a tie, there could be two modes. Heck, there could be three modes if there are three most common values. But if none of the values are repeated, then there is no mode. So to review, the mean, that's the average, where you're going to add all the numbers together and divide by the number of values that you have. The median, that's the middle value, and remember it has to be ordered. And the mode is the most frequent or most common value in a data set. There could be more than one, but if nothing is repeated, then there is no mode. Now let's practice using these measures of center, finding mean, median, and mode. Now you'll probably be able to do the first few of these on your own. So if you can do any of these, just pause the video and try them before I do. So the first one, let's find the mean, median, and mode of the following list of numbers: 23, 29, 20, 32, 23, 21, 33, and 25. The mean, median, and mode. Pause the video here and try this yourself first. Remember to pause and try it. The answers will be coming up in 3, 2, 1. So we'll start with the mean. Remember, the mean is the sum of all of the values in the data set, and then divided by the number of values you have. So I took all of the values, 23 plus 29 plus 20 plus 32 plus 23 plus 21 plus 33 plus 25, and added them all together and ended up with 211. And then there are 8 values there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 values in my data set. So I divide by 8. And turns out I get 26.375. 26.375. I'm not going to round here, so that is my mean, 26.375. And that kind of makes sense to me because it looks like it's kind of in the middle of all these numbers. It looks kind of the center. I mean, they're around 23, 29, 20, 32. Yeah, 26 makes sense to me as an average, as a mean. Next, let's do the median. Now remember, with the median, the order matters. So I've got to put all these values in order from least to greatest. I didn't have to do that with the mean, the average in purple up here, because when I'm adding them together, again, the order is not going to matter. But for the median, I need that middle number. So let's put them in order. Now my values in order, 20, 21, 23, 23, 25, 29, 32, 33. Yep, those are all in order. So now the median, remember, is going to be that middle number halfway through this. So one technique is to just cross off from each end. So that's first, that's second from each end. There goes the third, and oh, looks like I'm left with these two in the middle. Now, if I had one number in the middle, that would be my median, my middle number. But since I have two, I need to go halfway between 23 and 25. One way to do that is to just add them together and divide by 2. So 23 plus 25 divided by 2, well, 23 plus 25 is 48, and then 48 divided by 2 is going to be 24. But I really didn't need to do that anyway, because if you think about it, what's halfway between 23 and 25? Well, 23, 24, 25. Oh, 24 is in the middle of 23 and 25. So I didn't really even need to do any of this math. My median is 24. Now the mode, remember, is the most common or the most frequent number. Now if you look at here, only one of these values is repeated, and that happens to be 23. There are two 23s, nothing else is repeated. That means my mode, or most frequent number, is 23. Now, we won't always find the mean, median, and mode from a list of numbers like we did before. Sometimes we'll use a chart or a graph, kind of like a dot plot. Below is a dot plot that shows the miles various Toyota cars can drive for with 1 gallon of fuel. Find the mean, median, and mode of the data. So we've got this dot plot here where each dot represents how many miles a car can drive on 1 gallon of fuel, miles per gallon. So you can probably find the mean, median, and mode on your own. So if you think you can, pause here. The answers will be coming up in 3, 2, even if you're not sure if you can do this, pause now and try this on your own. Here are the answers. So I'll keep the colors the same as the last problem and find the mean with purple. So when you're working with a dot plot like this, it's kind of hard to figure out the mean without counting each individual dot, but there is a little shortcut, and I'll show you how to do that. Start by just counting where the dots are and adding them together. So this one is at, let's see, 26 and 20. So we've got the first dot is at 27, 27, plus, this one looks to be at 29, plus, now the next two dots are at 30. Now I could add 30 plus 30, or I could write 30 times 2, since there are two 30 dots. Next up is at 31. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots at 31. So I could write plus 31, plus 31, plus 31, plus 31, plus 31 5 times, or a little shortcut is plus 31 times 5. And then for 32, there are two 32s. So I'll save myself some time and write 32 times 2. Again, you could write out all the numbers, but this saves you a second with the calculator. Now again, how many dots are there total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 11 data points total. So once I add this all together, I will divide by 11. When I add those all together, in the numerator, I get 335. Again, you didn't have to do the multiplication like I did. You could have added, 27 plus 29 plus 30 plus 30 plus 31 plus 31 plus 31 plus 31 plus 31 plus 32 plus 32. Each dot individually, just multiplying might be a little faster. Again, you get 335 either way. And since there are 11 data points, we divide by 11. And we get an average of 30.45. Call it 455 if we round to 3 decimal places. And that is my average. And that kind of makes sense. 30.45 would land right about here. That's right about in the middle of the data set. That sounds like a reasonable mean, a reasonable average to me. Now let's find the median. Now remember, the median is that middle number halfway through our data set. Now we could take all the numbers, write them down, and put them all in order like we did in the first example. We'd write out 27, 29, 30, 30, 31, 31, 31, and so on. But that could take a while. We've already got some data here to use. So there's actually two shortcuts you could use. The first shortcut is to use the dots as your ordered list and cross them out just right on the dot plot. So going from the outside, I've got my two extremes, and then those two, and then those two, and then these two, and then I guess these two. So we're left with this middle dot right here, right at 31. So it looks like my median is 31. Again, I was doing the same thing as before in the first problem, but instead of writing out all the numbers, I'm just crossing out from the outsides to the in of my dot plot. Now there's actually an even faster way to find the median. If I know that there are 11 points in my data set, 11 different values, and I'm trying to find the median, the middle number, then I can figure out which number in my dot plot is going to be the middle one. What's half of 11? Well, half of 11 is 5.5. That means that there's going to be 5 numbers below the middle, 5 numbers above the middle, and that one middle number. 5 plus 5 plus 1 is 11. So if I count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The sixth number is going to be the middle number. Again, from the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the sixth number is the middle number. So another way you can find the median is to figure out what's halfway through your data set, where would that middle number be, and just count right up to it. And it turns out that the middle number, the median, is still 31. Now the mode is probably the easiest thing to find using a dot plot, because since it's the most frequent or most common number, it's going to be the value here that has the most number of dots stacked on top. And if we look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots stacked above the 31. So our mode is going to be 31. Now we found mean, median, and mode with a set of numbers, and we found it with a dot plot, but let's find it with a frequency table. Joe recorded his grades on the last 20 math tests and put the data in the frequency table below. Find the mean, median, and mode of the data. If you think you can do that on your own, pause the video now and give it a try. Otherwise, the answers are coming up in 3, 2, 1. So first we have to find the mean by adding together all of the grades on Joe's 20 math tests. Now the frequency table tells us that he got a score of 4, twice. He got a score of 5 twice. He got a score of 6 4 times, a score of 7 5 times, a score of 8 4 times, a score of 9 twice, and only one score of 10. Now we could, again, add up all the numbers like we did in the first problem. 4 plus 4, 5 plus 5, plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 7, and keep going. Or it might be easier to use the method from before. Since we know he got a 4 twice, all right, 4 times 2, plus he got a 5 twice, so 5 times 2, plus he got a 6 4 times, so 6 times 4. He got a 7 5 times, so plus 7 times 5. There were 4 8s, so 8 times 4. He got a 9 twice, plus 9 times 2. And he only got a 10 once, so just plus 10 on the end there. And of course, we have to divide that all by the number of tests he took, and that's 20. He took 20 tests. Don't be confused by these marks over here. Don't think he took just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tests. No. He didn't take 7 tests. He took 20 tests because if we add all the frequencies together, we would show that he got 20 tests in total. So the numerator all adds up to 137. And again, there's 20 tests. Let's divide that by 20. And I'm getting 6.85. So Joe has an average or a mean of 6.85 on all of his math tests. Now let's find the median. And I'm going to use the strategy that I used in the last problem. If I know that Joe took 20 math tests and I will find the median, the middle number, halfway through the data set, then I'm going to have to count up to the 10th test. Because since he took 20 math tests and half of 20 is 10, I can count from his worst test, his lowest one, up 10 to find the middle number. Or I could count from his best test down 10 to find the middle number. Let's do both to be safe. So starting from the bottom, his worst test is there, and that's the second worst. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because there's 4 tests there. 9, and his 10th test, let's see, was a 7. Let's count from the top down just to be sure. So his best test was a 10, that's the first, and the second and third were 9s. His 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th were 8s. So his 9th and his 10th best test was also a 7. Now, since this is an even number, 20 tests, there are going to be 2 numbers for the median, but both of those numbers happen to be 7s. So there's no need to find what's halfway between 7 and 7. The median is just 7. Now, it's pretty easy to find the mode using a frequency table because the mode is just the most frequent or most common number. So if we look at this table over here, looks like right here, Joe scored a 7 5 times, and that is the most common grade he got. So our mode for this data set is going to be 7.